Good morning. This is Dave in Vegas from Sin City Custom, and I am going to demonstrate how to disassemble a 1911 pistol. Before we begin disassembling the pistol, we will make sure that it is not loaded. You'll notice that I have a chamber indicator in the pistol, so I've already checked it, but we're going to do it again. Lock the slide back and remove the indicator, and I will visually examine the chamber to ensure that it is in fact not loaded, and I will physically check. Now that we've ascertained that the pistol is not loaded, we can proceed with disassembly. We're using a Colt Combat Commander for this demonstration. A full-size Colt would work. They both disassemble the same, so it doesn't matter. So let's proceed. The first thing that we want to do when working on our pistol is remove the grips. The reason I do that is because it could be a customer's gun, and I don't want to take a chance on damaging the customer's nice ivories. In this case, however, I don't want to damage the grips because it took a long time to make them, and I don't want to have to make another set just for this gun. The grips on this pistol are a little tight, so I will push on the back side the grip to pop it loose from the gun, and again pushing on the back side, the grip will come off. Next, we will depress the recoil spring plug and rotate the barrel bushing clockwise, maintaining pressure on the recoil spring plug because it's under spring tension. We want to gently ease it out and remove the recoil spring plug from the recoil spring. There are two notches in the slide. The first notch, the one in front, is to the slide lock engages it when the pistol is empty and locks the slide back. The second notch, the smaller notch, is the takedown notch, and we'll line that up with the slide lock. At the same time, we'll push on the right side of the pin on the right side of the gun. It's the slide lock pin. We'll push that, and it will push partially off of the pistol. You can see the gap there between the receiver and the slide lock. We'll withdraw the slide lock, and now we can remove the slide from the receiver just by sliding it forward. Now we can remove the recoil spring and the recoil spring plug, or I'm sorry, the recoil spring guide. To remove the spring from the guide, as we pull on it, we don't want to pull on it hard because we can stretch it, but we want to pull on it, but we also want to twist the spring as we withdraw it from the recoil spring guide. Next, we will rotate the barrel bushing counterclockwise, rotate the barrel link pin forward so it will clear the dust cover, and lift slightly on the rear of the barrel and push it forward. Now we withdraw the barrel and the barrel bushing from the slide, and we can take the barrel bushing off the barrel. Our next step will be to remove the firing pin and the extractor. To do that, we need to remove the firing pin stop using the tool that I made. If you don't have a tool such as this, you can use an 1/8 inch punch will do. Depress the firing pin and push down on the tool. At the same time, I use my thumb to cover the firing pin as I remove the firing pin stop. I do this so that I don't launch the firing pin, which is under tension. I don't want to launch it across the room. Again, the spring has a closed end that grasps the firing pin, so we want to turn as we pull. A little twisting motion there, so we don't stretch the spring. Now, using a small screwdriver, I will insert my screwdriver into the slot in the extractor that the firing pin stop uses to keep the extractor in the slide. So I'll push it up gently so I don't scratch the gun until I can withdraw it with my fingers. Now the slide is completely disassembled. Let's move on to the receiver. There's a couple of steps that you can do in any order, and I sometimes switch them out, but in this case, the first thing I'm going to do is remove the mainspring housing. To do that, I will lower the hammer. I have to depress the grip safety while I'm holding the hammer and squeezing the trigger. You don't want to just squeeze the trigger and let the hammer fall, because it can damage the hammer and the receiver. Now there's less pressure or tension on the mainspring that's contained within the mainspring housing, and we can now remove the mainspring housing pin. We'll use our 1/8 inch punch and our hammer. Now I could have removed the mainspring housing pin with one tap of my hammer, but I like to capture the pin as it comes out of the frame with my fingers so that it doesn't hit the table and then bounce off. Now I will cock the hammer. You can see when I do that without the pin in there, it pushes the mainspring housing down somewhat. At this point, I'm going to remove the thumb safety. To do that, I have to engage the thumb safety. Notice the hammer is cocked. I will push on the thumb safety, or the thumb safety pin on the right side of the receiver. At the same time, I will rotate the thumb safety down and pull on it away from the receiver. I will also put my thumb behind the thumb safety to prevent the plunger from launching out of the plunger tube. Now I know for a fact that this particular gun it won't, but I still do it. So, pushing, rotating, and pulling, the thumb safety comes out. Ease the hammer forward, and I can take the grip safety out. At this point, I will also remove the plunger. You want to be careful that you don't pull too hard and stretch. If they're in there very tight, you can use a small punch to push it out. That way you don't stretch the spring. Now I can remove the mainspring housing, rotate the hammer strut up out of the way, and withdraw the sear spring. With the sear spring out, I push on the right side of the hammer pin, and with my fingernail grab the lip on the hammer pin and pull it out. Now I can take the hammer and the hammer strut out. I'll do the same thing with the sear pin. Push it, pull it out with my fingernail, and now the sear and the disconnector will fall out. Next, I'll remove the mag catch. To do this, I'll use the tool that I made, or you can use a small screwdriver. We'll insert the tool into the mag catch lock. This is not a screw. Even though it looks like it has a screw head, it's not a screw, it's a lock. So we're going to push it in, we'll push in on it slightly, and we're going to push on the opposite side, push on the mag catch. Now the reason we do that is so that we can rotate the mag catch, and then the mag catch will come out. At this point we can remove the trigger, and the receiver is completely disassembled. We still have two parts that we can take apart, or two assemblies that we can take apart some more. Pushing on the mag catch and holding it because it's under spring tension, we'll rotate it and withdraw the spring and the catch lock from the mag catch, and the spring will come off the mag catch lock. Next, we'll use our vise with the punch in it, and because this pin that I'm going to withdraw is small and light and can bounce off the work surface, I put a cloth, use a shop rag, under the pin, and using my 1/16 inch pin punch to push the mainspring housing cap pin out. I will compress the spring. Now this works better with a vise that's bolted to the table, and I have a vise that's bolted to the table, but it's out of camera range. So I'm going to have to kind of hold this down with my hand. I will compress the mainspring and push the mainspring cap pin out. Now I can withdraw from the mainspring housing the mainspring cap, the mainspring housing pin retainer, and our 1911 pistol is completely disassembled.